So what's up, Brett? What you got?
Yeah, hi, Anthony. One of the comments that John made was a very right on target point. As far as traffic stops are concerned, if you have a situation where basically now we are saying to the public, okay, we light them up, pull them over, and then they could just take off and run indiscriminately. I know we got to this point. Now, at what point do we know, as in the case of Barnes and Felix, are we heading? Are we going to be getting to a point where, okay,
Yeah,
we going
almost
to be
like
doing this,
incentivizing them.
or are we going to just let people run, or
Yep.
it's, I get it, totality of circumstances. I get it. If it's a felony, if it's a serious felony that it committed, all those kind of things you got to take into account, whether or not we're going to actually, make a pursuit or not. But now we have a situation, especially with this here, it gets out, what do we have now? We open a Pandora's box of a situation where everybody says a free for all, let's all take off.
Where do you work, Brett? What state?
I'm Maryland. I'm sorry.
Have you heard about the Californians, the whole where they are soft on crime out there and, softer than Maryland, and where it's like shoplifters delight out there. They ransack stores because there's no consequences. Have you heard about those cases?
Yes, sir.
And you also know, from just big cities that don't chase, like Seattle, they run all the time. They just run all the time, right? Because they know that Seattle won't chase. So are you saying basically it's like a perverse incentive, right? If you don't put your foot down at some degree and like start actually enforcing crime, people start taking advantage of your lax rules, right? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Exactly. So where do we go from here now?
Well, didn't Zach? Didn't the Supreme Court talk about that? Like, was it Kavanaugh that made a little mention about that issue? The
Yeah,
perverse
I mean,
incentive?
Kavanaugh spent a lot of time on it, in both the oral argument. That's what his whole concurrence was about. This is a policy consideration. I don't think this is a legal issue. I can't see a court
Yeah, they can't. They can't probably. I mean,
saying just categorically you can't. You can't pursue. If all you have is a traffic infraction. I mean, Kavanaugh makes some very good points as to why a police officer might feel it's necessary to jump on the car to prevent the escape. And I think you have a really hard time rebutting all of those justifications. So this is a policy issue. Now, I know some state doesn't Oregon or is it Washington? Don't they have some kind of statutory prohibition on pursuits? I mean, they have a state
oh yeah,
law
yeah,
that
and also
governs.
reasonable suspicion. I think
Yeah.
they lifted it up a little bit, but
And
but
New
look,
Jersey has some AG guidelines and just
yeah, I
those are
mean,
policy issues, not.
yeah, and Brett, I like to say, look, if it was me, if I had a magic wand, we'd be chasing everybody. You know what I mean? But the problem is, it may be a lifestyle you can't afford, because even if we win these cases at the U.S. Supreme Court, or at the lower court, even if we win, we get qualified immunity. It's very expensive. I mean, just even if besides the fact that it can cause some bad outcomes, it is a lifestyle that a lot of agencies cannot afford. Chasing everybody, because it adds up. It results in a lot of lawsuits. And it's part of the game that we're playing. So anyway, so it's a great question. Definitely a policy. The law generally is in our favor, but it's purely policy, like Zach said.
And what pursuits is hard. I mean, because with pursuits, there's no, I've always called vehicle pursuits, as following and hoping for a good outcome. We really have very few effective means to intervene in pursuits, and that's what we really need to be focusing on, is how can we end these things? They got the star chase thing. I mean, it has some.
But that's,
I mean, it has its place, but that's really what it boils down to is we need some.
I believe in missiles. I believe that you just target a missile and it knows that car. It's like AI driven. It's not blind. It's not heat seeking. Okay, I don't want to be indiscriminate, but I'm serious. Just blow the car up to smithereens.
After we give a warning.
Okay, fine. I'll give a warning. But the missile gives the warning. It has a speaker on the front, and it's like
it's coming. Yep.
It's kind of like I want to give that warning like 10 feet before it smacks into that into that Nissan Altima and blows the thing to smithereens. All right. Thanks, Brett.